for a one-point win over Golden State Monday night at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Chris Dunn's 2 free throws with 42 seconds left held up for a 103-102 victory. 24 points and 12 rebounds for Kawhi Leonard. The Lakers are on the road tonight in New Orleans. Top 5 women's college basketball teams in this week's top 25 rankings: UConn, Texas, South Carolina, 14-1 UCLA, and Oklahoma. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford finished the regular season leading the NFL with 46 touchdown passes and 4,707 passing yards. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua led the NFL with 129 catches. In case you're curious, Stafford's 46 TD passes is not an NFL single-season record. Peyton Manning holds the record with 55 TD passes in 2013 when he was with Denver. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
One year ago, flames tore through Altadena and Eaton Canyon, changing lives forever. From the ashes, can a beloved community rise stronger? Hi, I'm Dominique DePrima, host of First Things First, weekday mornings, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., here on KBLA Talk 1580. And I'm inviting you to join us on Wednesday, January 7th, as we broadcast live from Perry's Joint on the one-year anniversary of this horrific and devastating fire. We're remembering those we lost, celebrating the heroes and sheroes who answered the call, and honoring the resilience of neighbors who are determined to rebuild together.
I've been a strong black woman a long time, and I can't just break down now.
Hear the stories of survival, the voices of recovery, the spirit of community that the fire couldn't destroy, and yes, the angst of those who still do not know where they go from here.
Yeah, where am I gonna go?
At KBLA Talk 1580, we don't just cover the story, we're part of this community, and we've done our level best to hold those responsible for this fire accountable. And 1 year later, we're still standing together.
It is my hopes that black people will rebuild those homes.
So join us live at Perry's Joint, 2051 Lincoln Avenue in Pasadena, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Wednesday, January 7th, as we commemorate the 1 year anniversary of the Altadena Eaton Canyon fire. Because some stories demand to be remembered.
This too shall pass.
This KBLA Talk 1580 Town Hall is sponsored by LA Fire Justice.
KBLA Talk 1580. I'm laughing because whenever we play any music on this show, people always assume it's Miles. A lot of times it is Miles doing his job, doing a great job. Sometimes it's me requesting something that I think goes with the guest or a topic. And sometimes it's the guest himself choosing their walk-on music. And that is the case with this JB. Got to get ready. I'm just really looking forward to figuring out exactly why she chose this. But I'm happy to have her back. She's a human and civil rights attorney, specialized in criminal defense. She went to Cornell, graduated, got her law degree from UCLA, and she has been an activist and a civil rights attorney for many, many years now. Also the executive director of the Black Alliance for Just Immigration, or BAJI. Attorney Nana Gyamfi, welcome back.
I'm ready.
You got to be ready. Okay, so what is this big payback energy? What is going on right now?
You know what? I'm reaching now. I'm reaching through JB to my Asante roots, okay? To the Asante warrior roots. And because we've got to shake ourselves out of the drama, trauma, and negativity that this administration just insists on. And it weighs like a blanket. there is a reason that in all of our cultures, right, we have a carnival, a Mardi Gras, something that gives us the opportunity to shake it off, and nothing shakes it off like the big payback.
A carnival, a Mardi Gras, a coup. I mean, today is
exactly.
the coup anniversary of
Mm-hmm.
the Trump administration. It is the 6th of January, 2026, which means it's been 5 years since they tried to stop the certification of the election and hang the vice president.
Oh, yeah. I was thinking to myself as I hear a lot of folks talking about what is happening in Venezuela. And of course, you and I know that this is a U.S. MO. We can think of so many folks, including President Aristide. He always comes to mind, where they took him and his wife, his family, and just took them to the Central African Republic. No indictment required, right? And just dropped them there. That this is a country that has no problem with overthrowing leaders. And our Baba, El-Haj Malik El-Shabazz, taught us that the chickens will come home to roost. And if you allow there to be this energy of, like I say all the time, who gonna stop me, boo? If you allow that who gonna stop me, boo energy around the world, you will find that the who gonna stop me, boo is gonna be right there in your face, asking you that question.
Yeah.
And that's what we see now.
I mean, yeah, where to start? I said, well, do they usually take the first lady? I guess I wasn't thinking about Aristide. I was thinking about, well, like you said, we have a long history. You can go to Chile, you can go, our support of Cuba before the revolution. You can go, on and on. The list is so long. Brazil, Guatemala, El Salvador, all places where we've either been behind a regime change and or a puppet government.
Yeah, just literally almost every single country on the continent, in South America, through the so-called Middle East, in parts of Asia. This is just what the United States has done, because this is what empire does. This is the empirical part of the United States. And as we talk about foreign policy and domestic policy as if they're separate things. But, when you look, they can't be separate. It doesn't work like that. We know that whether you're talking about the purse and who's paying for all of this, whether you're talking about, personnel, the infrastructure like surveillance and militarization, all of those pieces are absolutely connected. And we talk about that again and again and again. I just feel that this, regime has taken off, all the falsity, the cover, taken off all the niceties, taken off all the gloves. They're just on all fours, howling at the moon, making it clear that we are not going to have this line anymore. We will be wereman, or whatever the werewolf person is called.
We're
fascist.
Yeah.
Exactly. We're not going to put on the nice clothes. We're not going to this. We're not going to. We just going to be. You're going to look at us. You're going to see the snarling teeth and all of that. You're going to know exactly who we are, and then it's up to the people to decide what to do next. Just like it's up to the people of Venezuela, who are in the millions. Folks are acting like it's over. Like there's 4 people in Venezuela, like it was Gilligan's Island, and now it's done. There are millions of people there who may not have wanted Maduro, but they don't want Trumpuro. That was not what they were looking for either. So they're going to say
is
something.
Diabolical. Yeah, well,
the question is, what are we doing here? What are we doing? This is what the question is.
Yeah, well, that's a really good question. You asked me what should we talk about today, and I said coups, captures, and citizenship, because to me they are all tied together. You say foreign policy is domestic policy is foreign policy, and I think as we look back 5 years since we had our own attempted coup with 0 consequences for those people, unlike
they got good consequences. They got paid. They got pardoned. They actually got benefits.
They got paid, they got pardoned, they got famous. But, okay, so, yeah, I guess outcomes good for them. But as far as accountability, now we have the same guy back in the White House because we, Merrick Garland, and nobody held him accountable. But when you look at that, in alignment with what you just said about how we have no problem with regime change, with toppling governments, covertly or overtly. It begs the question, like, why wouldn't someone else just come over here and abduct our president? I mean, not saying that that's legal either, but
I'm about to say, can they translate tree quickly? Because I was about to say some words to the ancestors.
Well, we got Google Translate now, so yeah.
I know. They done got us, Dominique. Right? Why not? I mean, I was talking to someone who was, trying to frame this role that the United States plays of running around just grabbing people and deciding that they're running your country now, and was saying, well, it's complicated. It's like there's a lot of pieces of these things that are complicated. But what is not complicated is the sovereignty of countries. That doesn't get to be complicated. If Great Britain right now is supposed to be this ally of the United States, and let me say Canada, because, people like to boo, sometimes you're shying on Canada. If Canada decided that we're done, this is foolishness, and we need to help the United States out. There are, millions and millions of people that are protesting against this man. He is literally engaging in all kinds of authoritarian activities before it gets to the point of no return. We are going to set up our special forces, this, that, and the other. And Canada has a military, and this, that, and the other, and get rid of Trump. And then if we looked and saw the president or the Prime Minister of Canada talking about how we're running the country now and we're taking their oil. People who despise Trump would be like, no. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, exactly.
Hello?
I mean,
no.
Yeah, we have sovereignty, but that's the thing. Apparently, dictatorships are okay if they're on the right with this administration, but not if they're seen as being on the left, because he has no problem with Viktor Orban or, any other number of right-wing dictators.
Absolutely. I mean, as I was expressing to one of the Venezuelan folks that is in the immigrant rights world, who was going on and on about how thrilling it is that Maduro is gone and Trump is going to do this and Trump is going to do that. Hey, you must forget this. This is a man who took 300 of your people and dragged them to El Salvador, okay? And then pressured a media outlet in the United States to not talk about it. This is the person you're excited about? As I said, Trumpuro, Maduro. Come on now.
Trumpuro.
Let's not act like something else is happening here than is happening. And, and he actually really sat down and said, Nana, you're right. Yeah, I don't know what you're talking about. This is someone who is taking health care from people and doesn't care. Someone who was starving children and was unconcerned. Someone who literally is engaged with his regime, of course, not just him by himself, in voter suppression. You're talking about you want fair and free elections, and you want Trumpuro to be in charge of your country? Really? Because that's not what's happening in this country.
Well, yeah, right. We how are we can't even run our own country. How are we running your country? All relevant questions. But I see a lot of denial. And I do think that there is, to your point, there's a legitimate analogy in this Iraq example, where people were celebrating in Iraq too when Saddam Hussein toppled, and then 1 million of them got killed, by our military, and then their entire country got messed up, and then they're not celebrating now. They hate us now.
Millions of people dead, or at least 1 million people dead. Artifacts. Do you remember, Dominique, how they just bombed and destroyed artifacts, ancient buildings from the time of the Tigris and Euphrates that we learn about as little kids, destruction of infrastructure, because that's another piece that people forget, that these places are places where they're not just people, there's entire infrastructure. There are buildings, like this notion that people have that once you get outside the United States, Canada, and Europe, that everyone else is basically living in huts, scratching on the dirt for grubs, which even if they were, they're not deserving of being bombed. But that's not what's happening over there. And so it makes it very clear that anybody can get it. And I think whether that's inside, right, what stops them from grabbing Chicago Mayor Johnson, what stops them from grabbing L.A. Mayor Karen Bass, accusing these people, of engaging in some kind of criminal activity, bringing in the National Guard that they're already sending to all of these cities and taking them off to some federal prison if we allow them to do it outside.
You saw that
people need to connect.
They did snatch my brother. He's the mayor, but they
Absolutely.
only had him for a day. And they are going after Letitia James and every other person that we can think of
MacGyver.
with a mortgage to say they're doing mortgage fraud. So it's just a lighter version of it. Well, I call it Coups, Captures, and Citizens. I know Baji is about immigration, and so I want to talk when we come forward a little bit about what we've done in Venezuela and all of these policies that are being implemented around war, how it affects the big picture when it comes to immigration, both the policy and the reality. That's next on KBLA Talk 1580.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to gear with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress once again for their 34th annual summit. The summit's theme is From Vision to Action, a forum to unlock participatory democracy, and will feature a nonpartisan gubernatorial candidate forum focused on issues of importance to the African American community. The summit is the signature public policy-oriented observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy during the national 3-day holiday weekend that celebrates his life. This year's summit will be held on Saturday, January 17th, 2026 at the California Science Center in Exposition Park from 9 to 11 a.m. Admission is free, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. All major announced candidates for California governor for the Democratic and Republican Party nominations have been invited to participate in the candidate forum, which will be moderated by Tavis Smiley. An all-star panel of journalists will pose questions to the candidates, and the forum will be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580. This is going to be a big year for local, state, and national politics. The political pulse of 2026 beats on KBLA Talk 1580.
Where will 2026 take you? With a skills-based education from University of Maryland Global Campus, it could take you toward your next success. An accredited state university, UMGC helps working adults like you learn the skills you need for the career you want. And with no application fee through February 11th, there's no better time to start. Choose from more than 135 degrees and certificates in career-relevant fields like business, cybersecurity, healthcare, and more. Plus, UMGC offers online and hybrid classes, no-cost digital resources in place of textbooks for most courses, personalized support, and lifetime career services. And with transfer credits and scholarships for those who qualify, UMGC can help you take a leap forward no matter where you are on your education journey. Classes start soon. Apply now and get your application fee waived through February 11th. Visit umgc.edu. Certified to operate in Virginia by Chev.
It all comes down to this, folks.
Yep, the entire season is on the line. But my throat has officially thrown in the towel.
Sounds like you need Vicks VapoCool drops. They're max strength and vaporize sore throat pain.
Whoa! These VapoCool drops hit fast.
Speaking of fast, did you just see that play?
Yeah, he vaporized that ball.
That pun should have come with a penalty.
Vaporize sore throat pain with Vicks VapoCool drops. Use as directed.
Hey, can you blow up some balloons for Jack's party?
I can't. I'm so congested.
You need Sinex Saline from Vicks.
Sinex Saline Nasal Spray?
Yeah, just Sinex. Breathe.
Sinex Saline instantly clears everyday congestion associated with colds and year-round allergies with a gentle, ultra-fine mist that's no mess and easy to control.
Daddy, we need more balloons.
On it.
Enjoy life's important moments without congestion. Try Sinex Saline from Vicks. Just Sinex. Breathe. Use as directed.
Thanks for waking up with Dominique DePrima on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney Nana Gyamfi is my guest, and we're talking coups, captures, and citizenships in the in the spirit of the 5-year anniversary of the attempted coup on the United States by MAGA loyalists and driven on by President Trump. Yesterday, the president of Venezuela, who has been abducted by U.S. military and law enforcement and is now in prison in New York, pleaded not guilty. And he was fairly defiant. He says he's still the president of his country. They're saying him and the First Lady from his wife could be there for a very long time. Celia Flores is her name, awaiting trial. This is kind of a legal question, I guess, Nana. It seems to me that if you capture, kidnap, abduct, whatever you want to call it, a president of a country, you don't kind of just leave him in prison for a long time until we have time to get to the trial. It seems like there should be some kind of special process, right? You expedite it and do a thing, or no?
Well, it's already wildness. They have someone's president in their jail, and they're indicting them. Mysteriously, they can't get Netanyahu and indict him, but, that's another story. But, yeah, so I think that we're already in a space in which we're, beyond the legal pale in a way. Obviously, those arguments are going to be made about whether or not President Maduro and his wife can even be held, period, whether they can even be prosecuted in the way that they're being prosecuted. They didn't ask for bail, and I'm assuming that that's because they've decided that instead, what they're going to use, they're going to be using their country's purse, and instead, which they're not going to try to use, and it's not even a good PR move. And I say that because the vice president, who now is leading the country, has made it clear that, the President Maduro is still our president, and I'm here because that's how the Constitution operates, and we're actually not going to be run by Donald Trump, and I think, and by the United States. I think it's important to say that even at the highest level of the Venezuelan government at this stage, that they're not indicating that they're just going along with all of this takeover of their country, even if their president has been and his wife have been seized. And so we'll see, how quickly those motions can happen. They're talking about it happening in March. And so between now and March, it's going to be really interesting to see how their government that is set up. Again, they have an infrastructure. This is not a TV show. And so they have a vice president that is running the country in the way that J.D. Vance would be running this country if something were to happen to Trump. And so we'll see whether she's able to, with the support of Brazil and Colombia and other countries, hold on until or unless Maduro is brought back.
Yeah. Maria Corina Machado, who's the opposition leader from Venezuela, offered up, I saw this on Fox News yesterday, she offered up her Nobel Peace Prize to Trump. Clearly she was kissing his butt, talking about what a hero he was, and I think it's because he dissed her and basically has said, no, we'll work with the Maduro administration, just not Maduro. We don't want you. She doesn't have support. She was clearly trying to get on his good side with flattery, which usually works, and offering him the Nobel Peace Prize. What do you make of that?
Well, I mean, the thing is that this is how they do snitches, Dominique. See, what happens is after you snitch, they throw you away like tissue. And so she should not actually be surprised to be in this position. As Qatar learned, you can flatter this man all you want. He does what the billionaires say to do, and will just allow, as Qatar gave him a plane. He made his real mom now. You know what I'm saying?
Your Nobel Peace Prize has to come with $1 million or so, or a couple $100 million in a plane. Okay, so we got some questions from callers who are at work and couldn't stay on the phone. One of them is, will drug charges actually stick on Maduro in U.S. court? I'm thinking yes, because I'm thinking of Manuel Noriega, who was prosecuted and imprisoned here in the U.S., who was at the time of his capture president of Panama, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm not sure that drug charges will stick here, and the reason is that Noriega was part of the United States drug trafficking ring. Remember?
Yeah.
He was part of that whole thing in terms of what was happening with Central America, what was happening with Colombia, bringing cocaine into the country, inundating our communities. So he was actually a part of that. I don't think that, Panama and the United States were friends. until he decided to get ahead of himself and wave that sword around his head. And George Bush said, "Oh no, you got to go." Maduro, on the other hand, is that we know of, have a thing portrayed, is not been a friend of the United States, is not in part of the United States drug trafficking ring. So I think it's actually going to be hard. I think what their hope is, as their hope is often in federal cases, is that because of mandatory sentencing and these other pieces, that they can wear folks down and that, give them some kind of deal they can't refuse, and that they'll go ahead and plead and go quietly into that night while there's a new, while the government in Venezuela is helping the United States get whatever it is the billionaires want.
Oil, and other minerals. I guess they have great mineral wealth there in Venezuela. So if he's not convicted, if he's acquitted, then what? He goes back, he flees overseas, or he goes back and tries to be president again? It's just so many unanswered questions.
It's going to be an Abrego Garcia situation, right? So I think that if he gets acquitted, that they're going to try to come up with something else, and they're going to do their little dance, because they are, if nothing else, persistent. And so they're going to do their little dance. But if he gets acquitted, I think he eventually gets back to the country. It will not be the same situation. And I don't think that he would come back in the same way, because I don't think that he wants to go through that experience again. But I do, but if he would go back, he wouldn't be stuck here. They can't force him to stay here. After all, he is an immigrant. He is an immigrant.
Yeah, they might deport him, right? But then they might deport him, to Sudan. It doesn't necessarily mean he's going back to Venezuela.
Claro.
Well, we only have a minute and a half here before news, traffic, and sports. Maybe you may have to answer this after news, traffic, and sports, but we had someone ask if Black people in Los Angeles should connect with the Somalians here in LA over what's happening in Minneapolis, the targeting of the Somalian community there.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think it's a great idea to connect with the Somalis that are in Minneapolis. If you reach out to Baji, we can help you to do that, as well as Somali folks that are here, Somali folks that are in San Diego, but not just Somali. They bombed Nigeria. My God, the African giant, right? And so there's a lot of our folks that are under threat. Most of the countries in the travel ban, which we call the Black ban, are African countries and Caribbean countries. We can talk about that on the other side. But I think that Black immigrants just need a lot of love in this moment, and appreciate the caller for bringing that up.
Yeah, it's a great point. The Trump administration just added 7 more countries to the list of folks who have to pay $15,000 if they want a visa to come here. 5 of those are African countries. Surprise, surprise, surprise. I think the shorter list would be which African nations have not been targeted by this administration. We'll look at all of that and more when we come forward. Attorney Nana Gyamfi, Dominique DePrima for KBLA Talk 1580.
She's reclaiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. is not at war with Venezuela.
There's not a war. We are at war against drug trafficking organizations. It's not a war against Venezuela.
On NBC's Meet the Press, Rubio called Maduro the head of a drug cartel and said America is enforcing oil sanctions while continuing strikes on suspected drug boats in the Caribbean. South Carolina midwife Dr. Janelle Green Smith, known as the Locked Midwife, has died from childbirth complications. A fierce advocate for Black maternal health, her passing highlights the ongoing disparities in care. A GoFundMe is helping support her husband and newborn. And former NBA star Matt Barnes and model Ananza Sims are officially married after a surprise ceremony. The couple, who share 2 children, reconciled after a rocky year and celebrated with an intimate wedding featuring their son, Ashton. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers held on for a 1-point win over Golden State Monday night at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Chris Dunn's 2 free throws with 42 seconds left held up for a 103-102 victory. 24 points and 12 rebounds for Kawhi Leonard. The Lakers are on the road tonight in New Orleans. Top 5 women's college basketball teams in this week's top 25 rankings: UConn, Texas, South Carolina, 14-1 UCLA, and Oklahoma. Rams quarterback Matthew Stafford finished the regular season leading the NFL with 46 touchdown passes and 4,707 passing yards. Rams wide receiver Puka Nacua led the NFL with 129 catches. In case you're curious, Stafford's 46 TD passes is not an NFL single-season record. Peyton Manning holds the record with 55 TD passes in 2013 when he was with Denver. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beat when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
Picture this, you're on a date, and then bad breath happens. Confidence gone. Here's the truth. Most gums and mints are just bad breath Band-Aids, but not Zellman's Minty Mouth. The functional breath freshener you swallow. Tiny dual-action capsules with mint on the outside, parsley seed oil inside, clinically tested to fight the toughest offenders, even garlic and onions. It's only available online. Go to Zellmans.com, Zelmins, Zellmans.com, code FRESH for 15% off.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. For 40 years, I have had the privilege, and I don't use that word lightly, the privilege of sitting down with presidents, world leaders, authors, artists, activists, the folk who shape our world. Thousands of conversations, tens of thousands of questions. And somewhere along the way, I realized that the art of conversation is dying. So here's what I'm going to do about it. I am now going to teach what these almost 40 years have taught me: how to have conversations that matter. 6 courses, from the anatomy of a great conversation to generous listening as a superpower to handling difficult exchanges without losing your dignity or your mind. Go to TavisTalks.com right now. That's TavisTalks.com. Download the free guide, see what's coming, sign up to be the first to know when we launch the series. Conversation is a skill, and like any skill, it can be taught. I'll see you in class.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
Find a righteous rage and don't be afraid to say what you see. We're KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney Nana Gyamfi is my guest. I got questions on this coup anniversary day. Also,
it almost sounds like coup anniversary.
It kind of does, yeah. But yeah, I don't know if he qualifies. But let's slip in a question here from Morris, calling us from Inglewood. Good morning, Morris.
Good morning, ladies. I have a question for you, attorney. Can a mayor deputize citizens to push back against racistic behavior?
Can a mayor deputize citizens, meaning make them into cops or make them into...
Absolutely. Make them into I don't want to call them militias or vigilantes.
And what would these vigilantes be doing?
whenever they're called, they would make themselves available so that when ICE is there picking people up, if they do not have a piece of paper that is signed by a judge, they're going to have to let those people go, or ICE is not going anywhere with those folks.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about deputizing citizens to fight ICE.
That's exactly what I'm talking about, Mr. Prima.
Attorney Gyamfi?
So, So I would say two things. Number one, I think that it's really important for us to think of ourselves as being able to do things without having to have the government say it's okay first, right? And so we see every day people actually stopping ICE, sometimes in embarrassing and humiliating ways, from taking people. Literally, it's not just people, videotaping and saying, what's your name as they're dragging the person off. We actually see people keeping loved ones, keeping neighbors, et cetera, coworkers from being taken by ICE. And I think there needs to be more training for folks on how to do that. That's something you can expect you're going to see ratcheting up in the next quarter or so of this year. And so I think that's one piece. I think secondly, the reason why you don't even see, police, let's take regular police who actually are getting paid at 50-some% of the city's budget in most cases across the country, to, be police. You don't see them being set upon ICE agents because there's an idea that I think a lot of mayors have that might create a situation in which you're doing like a state versus federal or city versus federal armed conflict, because that's what's going to happen. Understand, ICE is shooting people. So they're not going to just say, oh, you surrounded me and now, you said I'm under arrest and so I'm going to go. No, they're going to pull out guns and other things and they're going to start harming people.
Yeah.
And they don't want to shoot out between cops and ICE. Now, I'm not saying that's good. I'm just saying that because I'm like, do what you got to do. You don't mind having a shootout with me. But the point is that I'm like, I don't know why you have such a problem with shooting people who are actually causing problems since you claim that's your job. But that is something that they're concerned about. And so I don't think they're going to deputize citizens to have people who are not cops now engaging in shootouts that have been sanctioned by local government.
That's a fair point. You got a follow-up, Morris? Yeah.
The situation in Venezuela, what's going on over there? Folks probably aren't aware of it. There's a pushback on the dollar. It's called de-dollarization. We're in a currency war. There's an organization called BRICS, which are trying to do their trading outside of the SWIFT bank, outside of the dollar. And by going into Venezuela, we're making sure that Venezuela and Iran do not start trading their oil in dollars. The petrodollar is no longer with us. The Saudi Arabians canceled that contract. So this is about that dollar deal. It's about protecting the dollar and making sure that Venezuela trades their oil in dollars.
I mean, that could be part of it. Yeah, they're not the only ones. Was just reading about a bunch of African countries that are doing that. Attorney Gyamfi?
Yeah, absolutely. This is, again, complicated. So It is about the oil itself and whether the billionaires can get their hands on the oil. Interestingly, Dominique, some of the oil companies have said not so interested because the sanctions that the United States has done against Venezuela, it's 90% of the income of the country. Now, imagine if someone took 90% of your income, right? How do you survive? And so a lot of the infrastructure around oil has disintegrated, and it's not what it used to be. The investment in order to get it to where Exxon and other companies could use it would actually be a lot, and oil is down right now, so they're not feeling it so interesting. The dollar issue and the de-dollarization that Morris brings up is another factor, however, that's not so much about infrastructure and more about geopolitics and geoeconomy. And, he's absolutely correct. There is clearly a fear of BRICS. There's China is all up in Venezuela, and there's those relationships as well. BRICS, the C is China, right? And so I think that this administration is doing its level best with tariffs and travel bans and all of these pieces to try to reconfigure what's happening with the world economy and try to save the sinking ship of the U.S. dollar and the U.S. economy. And as we can tell, because we pay the bills, it's not working.
Okay, Paul is in the chat talking about the American centrifuge operating in Orano Federal Services, as well as three companies, as well as one called General Matter. Each one will get $900 million, according to the Department of Energy, to develop uranium in the United States. One of those companies owned by Peter Thiel. So it's back to this, back to the billionaire oligarchs that have propped up and literally paid for this regime, and to your point, continue to profit from it. One thing, yeah, it's about oil. Yeah, it's about dominion. Yeah, it's about revenge for little Marco. He's going to finally get back at Cuba. Yeah, it's about, it's complicated. Sure, it's about the dollar. But it's also just this crass disregard for the law. And all of these things, because at the same time he's saying we're going after Maduro for drugs, he's pardoned the Honduran president whose brother is a huge cartel boss and who was doing 43 years for drugs, and that's not the only one. There's a bunch of drug kingpins that this president has pardoned. So clearly it's not about that. Talk about how these moves impact immigration, because I'm thinking about Honduras specifically. This is where a lot of the unaccompanied minors were coming from. Lots of people running from Honduras to here, running away from gangs and drug trafficking, which were exported by us. Now that Trump has pardoned their president, this Juan Orlando Hernandez, their former president, it seems like a lot of those people are going to start running again.
Yeah, and they should start running again. And of course, this country will be acting like it can't help them, right? This is why I say that the foreign policy, the domestic policy, the line there really didn't exist, and now that's just been so much more exposed. Even when you have like the transition teams for the president, do you know that they put immigration in the foreign policy piece? They do not put it in the domestic piece.
That's weird.
Because isn't that, hey, I mean, to me, it's on point, because they use the immigration piece as part of their tool of foreign policy, right? It's part of the way that they press countries. It's part of the way, and so you see that, for example, with the travel ban. All this travel ban stuff and travel restrictions you see, all of that is because this administration, this regime, wants things from those countries, whether it be oil, whether it be uranium, whether it be to be a dumping ground allowed, for people that they illegally deport to third countries under these agreements. As you said, just deporting people to Sudan or Ghana, embarrassingly enough, Uganda, Eswatini, etc. All, it's like if you agree, then suddenly you're not on that list. You don't see Ghana on that list.
Ghana took a bunch of money, right? And in exchange, they're taking prisoners.
They're not taking prisoners. They're taking people who have gotten protection under the Convention Against Torture, who have gotten protection under VAWA, Violence Against Women, who have applied for protection as asylees. And they, in their process, or have gotten those protections, and this country has still deported them over to Ghana. Baji is working with the attorneys representing with those people right now. They are not prisoners. Those are people that this man picked up and threw over there in violation of human rights. And Ghana agreed because they're getting paid. So
like
okay
temporary protected status type people under various different programs for refugees are being deported to Ghana. They're not being imprisoned. They're just being what did they do when they get to Ghana?
Well, no, they're not prisoners in the sense that they're not prisoners because of crime. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
They're being, so they're detained. They're being grabbed. They're being imprisoned in detention prison, which is it's just regular prison, but it's on the immigration side, right? They're being detained in immigration prison. Then they're being told, okay, I understand, Dominique, you can't go back to Honduras, okay? Because Honduras is, you're fearful, and we've already decided, or the Biden administration, somebody's already decided that you can't go back there. No problem. But Sudan, though, right? Sudan, they don't have a problem.
They don't, yeah. It may be dangerous for anyone there, but we'll send you there because your enemies aren't there.
Absolutely.
So
what they're doing with Ghana, with West African ECOWAS countries, is they're saying, okay, we'll send you to Ghana. You can't say we're sending you back to Liberia, because we're not. We're sending you to Ghana. And Ghana's saying, oh, don't worry. We will send you back to your country with dignity. How can you send someone forcibly removed back to a country that they fled and have received protection from with dignity?
So Ghana's sending them back to the country. That way the U.S. doesn't have to say they did it?
Correct.
Okay. I was thinking they were holding them in prison in Ghana.
Oh, they were. They're doing that too. And then they send you to your country.
Wow, that's crazy. So Ghana's basically acting as a prisoner brokerage. They're not a last stop or a relocation. They're actually just like a prison broker.
Correct. The only way they're doing
broker.
last stop is right. The only way they're doing last stop and relocation to the degree that that happens is because the people in Ghana were like, oh no, you and other countries were like, oh no, you don't have to do better than that, Black Star. And so there is some of that they're able to do, they're willing to do. But as you know, that's gonna be with people that have means that can, check the different boxes. And so the Ghana government doesn't feel like they're gonna have to be dependent upon the government for support. But when people are kicked out, some of these people don't even have ID. They can't even go to a bank or a Forex bureau to try to get money that's being sent to them because they don't even have ID. They were just sent from this country like that.
That's so
it's
crazy.
Another show, another conversation, but I'm just saying that these are the things. So how does Ghana get in it? Because remember, Ghana had some kind of travel sanction when Ghana was beating its chest, talking about nobody bothers me either. And he said, really? And they said, oh, yes, we are bothered, and decided to be a transit hub to torture.
Oh, Lord, that's terrible. But, I mean, it's like, as you pointed out, it's not just Ghana. There's a number of countries that are taking the check and taking the humans. And as of today, they've added 7 more countries, 5 of them in Africa, that have to pay between $5,000 and $15,000 to get a visa here. Botswana, Central African Republic, Guinea-Bissau, Guinea, Namibia are all now on that list.
And the thing is that when you think, people try to figure out, well, what did they do? They didn't do anything. At the end of the day, I keep repeating to folks that it cannot be that the only way that Black people can leave the continent of the Caribbean and come to the United States is in the hull of a slave ship.
Yeah. Well,
that cannot be.
Well, it's well said. I noticed, I'm tracking Zambia because we're going there in June and I can't wait. Zambia and Botswana, that Zambia finally got out of debt to the World Bank, and then the Trump administration started pressuring them to take on new American debt and to give us all of their copper. So now they're withholding foreign aid until Namibia signs a terrible deal to give up all their copper.
Yeah, and they're on the travel ban.
And they're on the
travel ban.
So this is like mafioso foreign politics.
Absolutely. It is open exploitation, extortion, your money or your life. That's what's happening right now. That's what's happening. Antigua and Barbuda is on this list. Antigua and Barbuda. This man said he could not find, what was it? He said there was a country he said he couldn't find, a country no one's ever heard of. If he hadn't heard of that country in Africa, he certainly had never heard of Antigua and Barbuda. But mysteriously, they're on the travel ban.
Well, he's heard of them now. Attorney Nana Gyamfi is our guest, and we will continue this conversation when we come forward. That's only happening on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DePrima when we come forward.
Still battling a thirsty lawn that guzzles water and drains your wallet? Let LADWP turn that patch of grass into a gorgeous drought-smart garden for free. We're talking a full California-friendly landscape makeover designed and installed by pros at no cost to you. That's right, LADWP does the work, you get the upgrade. Ready to transform your yard and save big? Visit LADWP.com/leap. That's LADWP.com/LEAP.
As a mom, comforting my family is what I do best. Vicks Vapor Stick provides soothing, non-medicated Vicks vapors in an easy-to-apply stick, and it dries fast, so there's no mess. I use it to comfort myself and my family.
Thanks, Mom.
Vicks Vapo Stick, soothing comfort for the whole family. And try Vicks Vapo Shower Max for steamy Vicks vapors when you need more comfort for yourself. Use as directed.
Pizza's here.
Oh, great. I'd love some, but I'm worried about my stomach issues.
If you're worried about having diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose, oily stools, it may not just be stomach issues. It could be a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and talk to your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by Apple.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
The conversation continues right now with Dominic DePrima on First Things First.
Okay, before we go off on another tangent, Attorney Nana Gyamfi, we had someone calling wanting to know how to track you, how to listen to you. I know Baji, B-A-J-I, B-A-J-I. I know Instabaji on Instagram. Baji Tweets on Twitter?
Correct.
And that's B-A-J-I. That's the Black Alliance for Just Immigration. But you have personal socials as well.
My personal socials are at Attorney Nana everywhere, anywhere that I can be found. If you look and I'm not there, it's because I'm not there. At Attorney Nana, N-A-N-A.
Attorney Nana, N-A-N-A. Caller said I talk too fast, so I'm trying to slow down. Baji Tweets, or at Attorney Nana everywhere. Okay, so what do we do about? I mean, what's helpful for the public? You know, Morris is talking about deputizing ICE, and deputizing citizens against ICE. People are protesting; they're pushing back, and you know, I'm shocked at what I don't know, right? Because there's just so much to keep up with. So specifically around Black immigrants, which is what you brought up, and we've seen the attacks on Somalis and others. What do you request or suggest that we could do to be part of the solution here?
So, of course, folks should follow Baji. You can also go to our website, baji.org, and we have different calls to action that occur. We have different webinars that we do so you can get some education. We are a racial justice and immigrant rights organization, so we are Black first and then immigrant because we're Black people. That's how it works. But I would say that the most important thing that we can do in this year, and, you know, moving forward, but we really got to get it together this year, is we have got to engage in mass organizing work. So when you see something that says, you know, that moves you, that says, call, you know, this person, or, you know, meet up at this place, or write to this person, whatever you're able to do. Baba Kwame Ture, peace be unto him, teaches us that there is room for every single person in the revolution. Whatever you're able to do to push back and to block this regime from taking over this country completely, we have an obligation to ourselves, to our ancestors, to our future to do it. But not as individuals, right? It's got to be done in organization. So find an organization, create an organization. There are too many organizations locally, statewide, and nationally for you to not find your place to get in where you fit in and to do that work. And then we've got to build the power we need to build to do the block. You know, if we don't have the power, like when you saw that hotel in Minnesota that was like, we're not going to sign up we're not going to register or reserve for ICE, for the invasion of the body snatchers. We're not going to let them stay at the hotel. And that happened because of organizers, but because there was not enough of a mass support for the hotel. When Fox News pushed back against it and DHS screamed and all of that, they reversed that decision, right? I'm not mad at them. I'm proud that they took that step and that they at least tried. We have to be stronger for folks, and we only do that by building trust with each other, which only happens because we work with each other. I trust you, Dominique. You trust me because we work with each other. Not just because we cute. We is cute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
not
cute
just
is good.
We brilliant. We is brilliant.
It's good, but it's not enough, right? Yeah.
No, because we work with one another and we learn in working with one another. Not that we don't, make mistakes, not that we don't fail one another, but we learn that actually the bond we have is stronger than anything that comes against us, and we move forward with that. And that only happens if we come outside, that only happens if we connect, and that only happens if we move together. That is it. When you see in other countries and we're jealous, we're like, how come they get all the people in the street? How come the farmers are dumping manure in the president's house and all of that? That doesn't happen just because of their DNA. That happens because they're organized.
Yeah, no doubt. Breaking news, California Republican Doug LaMalfa has died today. He was 65 years old. He is, a Trump faithful, and now his passing means that the very thin majority in the House of Representatives have gotten even thinner, and Governor Gavin Newsom will have to call a special election to replace him within the next 2 weeks. It's going to be a wild year. I can see that. We've got about a minute here. Attorney Nana Gyamfi, what would you like to leave us with this morning?
I'd like to leave us with the spirit of Big Payback by James Brown. We need to, keep ourselves uplifted, remind ourselves that victory is certain, right? We've got, not in a kind of foolish, theoretical way, but really, victory is certain. They know that, which is why they're acting the way that they're acting. They understand that they just have this one chance, and we've got to be good people and snatch that chance right out of their hands and do what needs to be done. Our ancestors have already shown us with much less in terms of resources, how to make it happen. We have much more. We have a much greater duty, a much greater obligation, and a much greater capacity. And we need to engage that capacity as a Black world, right? Understanding that whatever our differences are, those are differences that we can still work together with as we, figure out how to resolve the things that we need to resolve. But we shouldn't run from the fact that that things are complicated. We should run towards complication. We should be curious and know that we are powerful.
Well, Nana Gyamfi, thank you for the great work that you're doing, the great work that Baji is doing, and I always appreciate talking with you on the radio.
Thank you. I love talking with you. Appreciate you so much for inviting me.
Well, tomorrow we're going to be out in Pasadena at Perry's Joint, broadcasting from 6 to 9, the entire show. We are commemorating 1 year since the devastating Altadena Eaton Canyon fires. We'll be talking with community organizers, and those who are fielding resources. We will be having a robust conversation, and you are absolutely invited. It's at 2051 Lincoln Avenue in Pasadena. I will see you there. And I'll see you on social media. I'm at Diprima Radio, DIPRIMA, on every platform. And, of course, we are at KBLA 1580 on all the platforms as well. Tavis Smiley's up next. He's got a great show for you. And, he's the king of the art of conversation, and it will be a lot of great conversations coming up next. Like my mama used to say, history is now. Like I always say, we're making it together. Until next time, one love.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Secretary of State Marco Rubio says the U.S. is not at war with Venezuela.
There's not a war. We are at war against drug trafficking organizations. It's not a war against Venezuela.
On NBC's Meet the Press, Rubio called Maduro the head of a drug cartel and said America is enforcing oil sanctions while continuing strikes on suspected drug boats in the Caribbean. South Carolina midwife Dr. Janelle Green Smith, known as the Locked Midwife, has died from childbirth complications. A fierce advocate for Black maternal health, her passing highlights the ongoing disparities in care. A GoFundMe is helping support her husband and newborn. And former NBA star Matt Barnes and model Ananza Sims are officially married after a surprise ceremony. The couple, who share 2 children, reconciled after a rocky year and celebrated with an intimate wedding featuring their son, Ashton. Get BIN News now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers held on for a 1-point win over Golden State Monday night at the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. Chris Dunn's 2 free throws with 42 seconds left held up for a 103-102 victory. 24 points and 12 rebounds for Kawhi Leonard. The Lakers are on the road tonight in New Orleans. Top 5